Welcome back everyone. Today we're just going to do a bit of a chat on mackerel rigs. I've been asked lately about what type of rigs I used to use for trawling dead baits and live baits. Down south I used to do quite a lot of live bait trawling and dead bait trawling, like southeast Queensland, before I moved up here to Cairns. Now that I'm up here in Cairns, I will still use these when I start chasing mackerel one day. One day. So what I was going to do is I'm just going to show you these rigs, talk about them a little bit, but I'm not going to remake any of them. I'll put it in the description down below. Okay, some older videos of mine where I've made these rigs before, and you can go down, you can click those links, go down, follow, and make these rigs step by step, just following those old videos. I will show you how to do it very easily. Okay, and there's a few different rigs here for dead baits and live baits, and a couple ones that I know a lot of people don't use or don't know about. So let's get into it. We'll start off with the good old one. This is a live bait rig. Okay, I learnt this from a South African, I don't know how many years ago, a long time ago. Nowadays every man and his dog knows it. You can even buy them in tackle shops. They come pre-made as well. Not that I really, oh sorry, shops, but trust them. I'd rather make my own. But I do mine a bit different than everyone else. Okay, when people make these, I usually make them out of single strand. So they've just got a haywire twist and your swivel. You got your little sinker on here. Okay, and then your first hook. This should be like a small, like 2/0 or 3/0 small, but in line. So what I'm talking in line, it's straight. The hook's straight. Hasn't got an offset. Hasn't curved over on the point. You don't want that, because that can sort of act like a keel and make your bait twist. You want them in line, okay, so nice and straight. So that's like a 2/0 or a 3/0, depending on the brand of hook. And then on the back you got like little trebles. We usually run like a number 2 or so. This one's a bit smaller because I think I made this up for little tiny yakkers. You can make them to match the size of your bait you catch. This must have been made for a little tiny baits, but usually you run like a size 2 treble. Okay. But the catch is, with a lot of people, they make this out of single strand. So you got a haywire twist here, and then a haywire twist on the hook, and another haywire twist on the hook down to the treble. Yeah, I don't worry about that. I've got a soft multi-strand wire, so I've crimped my swivel on, I crimped my treble on, and my hook's snelled. I snell my hook with a wire. So it's just 2 crimps and a snell. And that's how you trawl your live baits. So this little hook at the top here, this little inline one, will go through the nose of your bait. Some people put the treble in live baits, but I find trebles, once live baits are in the water and they're kicking like mad, the trebles just fall out anyway. So I don't worry about putting the trebles in, I just leave them tailing. So once you start towing a bait fish, and he's swimming behind the boat, this treble is going to be up near his tail anyway, trailing along as well. It's not going to be dangling down here in the current when you're trawling. It's going to be up here with the bait fish. So just let it dangle with a bait fish. You don't need to put it in the fish. And the less holes in him, the better off he's going to be and the longer he'll live. So that's the first one. That's just back to basics. It's very easy. It's a good live bait rig. Okay, and up here I'm thinking in Cairns we're going to have to catch some fuse or leers or something like that. Put them on there and use them. But they'll work. Okay, the next one is once again an old school one from down south. I learnt years ago when I was working for a gentleman in a tackle shop a long time ago. We're going back to dead bait rigs. And once again, I'll put a link down below in the description on how to make these rigs. So this is a small one. We used to use this one for trolling pilchards. Okay, so we used to slow trawl pilchards on this one. And they still do down south, because these things work an absolute treat. Slow trawl pilchards, and they work well for Spanish and spotties. So if you're chasing spotties, trawl some slow trawl pillies around on these. You'll catch spotties. And if there's any Spaniards in the area, they'll definitely eat it too. Basically all this is, as you can see, it's trebles. Okay? Trebles. It's ganged hooks. But the ganged hooks, once again, they're in line, so they're straight. There's no offset to them. Make sure your ganged hooks are straight. You can buy them, nowadays you can buy them pre-made, or you can just buy a packet of hooks, make sure they're in line, and make them yourself. And these are like I'm going to guess a mustard 3/0 because they're quite small. We used to use for pilchards. On the top hook we've got a sinker there, you can see the sinker. That's what they call a net lead. net lead. You can buy them, they're about yay long, they come in a bag of about 70. You can get them from tackle shops and things, but that's what they use on cast nets and even pro fishing nets and gill nets. They're called a net lead. So when you buy them, they're actually like a U shape and they're open. So what we do is you just put them around the hook with a pair of pliers and just squeeze them on. And just use the pliers or work your way around so they're nice and round and sit on the hook. And there's your kill. Okay, that's what's going to keep your bait upright as it swims. And what we use on these ones, we used to use just a short wire. It's only a bite trace because I've got my swivel here in my fingers. That's a little black swivel there. You just got a little squid or something there to dress it up if you want, a little plastic squid. And to hold the bait on, we've got like a nose cone. This is where a lot of people come unstuck on how to use the nose cones. They get a bit stuck when they're making it. So basically, you got your single strand wire here, and you're going to do a haywire twist to your hook, to your top eye, okay? So wire, haywire twist to your top hook. But when you got your tag in here, you probably can't see it there, but there's a tag. A lot of people go and break that tag off, so you bend it forwards and backwards or twist it really fast and it snaps off. But for these rigs, you don't break that off, you leave that on there. You want that tag on there. So when you finish a haywire twist, okay, hopefully you can see that. You probably can't. Your haywire twist, you want to bring your tag in around so it's straight up, so it's in line with your hooks. Okay, so it's in line. So you can see the hooks there? You want your tag and sticking up. Whole idea of that goes under the jaw of the fish and up between his eyes and out the top of his head. So basically that point there goes through the head of the fish. That's what holds your bait on when you put your hooks in. And then with the nose cone, it's like it says, it slips down over the nose of the fish and it's cut off at one end. You can see it's just cut off. You just wrap it around your tag and then just twist it down, and just do that until it's nice and snug up on top of the bait fish, until it's snug, and that's what holds your bait on. Okay, I'm hoping you can see that in the camera. I think you can. The nose of the bait sitting in the nose cone there, the trebles are up in the fish. Okay, remember the trebles go in first, so first hook, second hook, third hook, then the spike, then the nose cone down over the top, and then you just, this has been sitting in your tackle box for a little while, hasn't been used. You just put your little squid over the top like so to dress it up. That's it. Drop it in the water beside the boat when you're in gear, and just hold it beside the side of the boat. And if it's swimming properly, or these things don't actually really swim, they don't kick or anything, you put them in, especially your pilchard, you just put them beside the boat, and if they're tracking straight, they're not spinning. If they're spinning, that's no good. It's got to track straight. So it's tracking straight, you're good to go. Just free spool out the back of 50 yards, 60 yards, 30 yards, depending on where you are in the boat and everything else. Put it out, put it in a rod holder and just let it swim, or just get pulled behind the boat. Okay, so that's very easy. That's a really good rig. Probably one of the better ones actually. And with that one, there's another one here. But you can make the same rig again, you just upgrade it. So we've got a heavier wire on this one. This is probably a 60 or 80 pound wire. Nose cone, we've got one whole sinker on this one instead of a half one like the other one. Sometimes you can put two sinkers, like one of the first two hooks, depending on the bait. Like if you want to run a small bonito or something, the one sinker won't be enough, you'll spin. You'll need two, sometimes even three on bigger baits, just to make sure the bait sits upright and swims, okay? But with this one, I would have had this one for big gar, more than likely, or souries or things like that, like long skinny bait fish. You can only use 3 hooks or 4, depending on the size of the bait. Ganged hooks, once again, they're inline hooks, okay? And this one I probably, like I said, big gar or souries. And with big gar and souries, if you only use 3 hooks or 4, if the tail is sticking out a bit further, which is good, and you loosen the bait up before you put them on the hooks, like give it a good workout, run all the junk out of its stomach by running your thumb along, especially garfish, along the stomach, and all the gunk will come out. Give them a good loosen up, then put them on. These ones, with the bigger ones, the tails will kick, so these ones will actually swim. When you put them in the water, you'll see them and you'll see the tail kick, and also very good, especially for the bigger Spaniards. And the rest of it's the same. You got your little spike there, your nose cone, and a squid or something over the front, okay? That's exactly the same as a smaller one, just a bigger bait. And you can make it bigger again if you want to get bigger hooks. Just remember, you probably need 3 sinkers for the size of the bait, so it doesn't spin. You need the bigger the bait, the more lead you're going to need to keep them upright and swimming. Okay. So there's them two. Okay, that's 3 down. The next one's sorry guys, a bit dry. The next one's, well, not a lot of people use these. I actually probably know about them, but they're actually easier to make, and they work extremely well. Okay, so what we're going to do is get back here. We've got a woghead. Most of you guys know what a woghead is. Okay, that's a woghead. These things are deadly, especially up north. Nice pink woghead. And a lot of guys put these wogheads over treble hooks and nose cones like that. You can rig that nose cone, instead of having the little squid on here, you can put a woghead and have the same thing, but a woghead. But what I done differently years ago, worked out, and it works really well. Okay, so we'll get rid of the woghead for a minute. So what I've got here, I've got single strand here with a woghead on, and then I've got a swivel. And then what I've got is I've got my multi-strand wire, okay, with 2 trebles. So what I've got is a treble crimped here, and it goes up to the swivel. Then I've crimped it, and then I've gone down to the second treble, about halfway down, and that's crimped. So that's one bit of wire. Ow, that's very sharp. One bit of wire crimped at the top of the swivel here, and 2 trebles. And then here's the easy bit. At the swivel here, I've got a bit of rigging wire. This is a bit of can't think. Soft wire. What's a rigging wire? I can't think of the name of it, sorry. You can buy it in tackle shops and tubes. It's just a rigging wire. Okay, I've got rigging wire here, already tied to the swivel. So with this one, I like to run gars and, like I said, souries on these wogheads and this. So all I do with this rigging wire is I put it through the eye of the fish and then wrap it around the whole head a few times, half a dozen times, and that holds the bait on. That's all I do. That's it. And then you just slide the woghead down, or the nose of the gar or something up inside the woghead, inside the hole there, and that holds it. And that's it. That's all you do. So when I drop this in the water and start trawling it, obviously, the feathers fold back over the top of the fish. Looks cool. And these 2 hooks trail underneath the gar, and the gar is usually just sitting there swimming. Okay, so you got a gar fish it's only being held on by the wire. That's it. It's very simple. Just a wire through the eye, wrap around the head a few times, jam it up inside the head, inside there. Put it in the water slowly. Don't, nice, and just drop it down, and then slowly start trawling. And this thing works an absolute treat. The feathers fold back. The 2 trebles just come up and sit underneath the gar, and the gar just kicks along nicely. It is one of the easiest way to rig up for a dead bait, and it works really, really well. I've got the same thing here, just to show you a little bit easier, but there's no feathers on this head now. I'm not sure why, but anyway. So we've just got the head there. You can even trawl it as is, like this. Just use the head and no skirt, that'd be fine. Okay. You can see a bit of wire there. I've got the swivel, the multi-strand down to the two trebles. Okay, and you can see the big hole inside the head. So once you tie your wire around the fish's head, like the garfish, you just stick his nose up inside the head there. The 2 trebles are going to lay underneath the fish, and she's just going to swim along nicely. Slow trawled. And this is just, once again, a 60, or I'm going to guess about an 80-pound single strand wire to a swivel. Okay, these are just some of the rigs I use. Those last 2 are the ones I like the most because they're just so easy to rig and quick, and they swim really well, and you have to put a lot of effort into them. These type of rigs work an absolute treat, but if you don't get the hooks dead straight in them and you put them in the water, the baits will spin, so it takes a little bit of practice to get them swimming. Surprisingly, the bigger baits are a lot easier to get swimming than the smaller baits and the pilchards. The pilchards are actually a little bit harder to get swimming. But if you really want to chase spotties and spaniards at the same time in the shallow reefs and look for what's around either, the pilchard one's the best way to go. It really is. Put a pilly out, slow troll, but make sure it's tracking straight. The pilly won't kick and swim, it'll just track. The bigger gars will swim. Tailor, if you rig up big ones, will swim once you loosen up their bodies. Souries will kick, but mainly the gars and the souries will have a nice tail kick to them on the bigger ones. Okay. Well, that's pretty much it for the trawling side of things. I was going to show you as well, so when you make these type of rigs, you can use little cheap squids like them. They're fine. If not, you want to dress up, you can go, tinsel like that. Things like that, put over the top. They look absolutely fantastic water and change colour, and they work a treat. You get other tinsel ones. There's so many different things to dress them up with. You don't always have to use the squids. And like with the green one now, I'm going to guess I made that once because you actually don't need the skirt at all. Just the head, green head over the top of a fish. Away you go. Anyway guys, I think that's about it. Something else here you really need to see. We've just got the normal wire, single strand wire. Before you go, nose cones. They do come in 2 different sizes. Hopefully you can see these things. I'll hold them there. This one here is a wider one, it's shorter, okay, and fatter. So that's more over fish like tailor, tuna. They'll hold a lot better, okay. And the other one I got in my hand here, that one's a longer, skinnier one. That's more for garfish, souries, the ones with the longer, skinnier nose. So just keep that in mind. There's 2 different types, longer, skinnier, and shorter and fatter. They're for 2 different types of fish, okay. And they do actually fit and make the bait swim a bit better if you get the right ones. Most guys just go buy one, put on everything, and sometimes some baits will work well and other baits won't. It's usually because the nose cone's not sitting properly or holding the fish. So just make sure when you do the nose cones you get the right one for what you want. Okay? Most of the time, most of the guys are trawling long skinny baits like I said, gars and souries. So usually your longer skinnier ones. Okay? But if you do want to trawl some tuna and stuff, and yakkers and things like that, usually your shorter fatter ones or slimies. Slimies are good for shorter fatter ones. Okay? Yeah, now we're done. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Hope you liked the video. If you're enjoying the channel, please give me a thumbs up and a like and subscribe, that'd be fantastic. And other than that, I'll see you next week.